Hey, NorCal Carters, Jason Berry here. And tonight, it is Monday, January 10th, and we have our special guest with us tonight, Donald Durbin Jr. from Prairie City Karting. So you guys have seen enough of me, so let's bring him on right away. Donald, how are you
How
doing?
are you? Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we're going to talk about Donald Durbin. We're going to talk about Prairie City. We're going to talk about the upcoming awards banquet. We're going to talk about you taking over the track in 2019, not doing anything in 2020 as far as a race event, and just kind of hitting it hard in 2021. And man, 2022, we put your calendar on NorCal Carters. What are you, 17, 18 events deep this year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Two-stroke and four-stroke.
that's right. So two-stroke and four-stroke weekend. So let's talk about that right now. Let's just jump right into the events, and we'll kind of get the house cleaning stuff out of the way, or housekeeping, if you will.
Hang on,
Um,
I can't. Oh, there you go. I was going to say I can't see you,
you
but now I
can't see
can.
me, no.
Now I can.
So we have last year you decided to do the whole 206 slash two strokes separated weekends initially because of COVID, and the state said, okay, you can have X amount of people at the track at any given time, and your four stroke program has been outstanding. I mean, it's good. It isn't even the right word. It's been outstanding, the four stroke program, and it seems like a lot of people have been really happy with that split format. So sounds like you're bringing that back again for 2022. So why don't you jump into that a little bit?
No problem. Yeah, honestly, it was probably the best blessing that we had. Like you said, in the beginning, it was just a forced split, just to try and contain. I had no idea what was going to happen, who was going to come. Maybe we had 30 people, maybe we had 130. I really wasn't sure. Um, but for sure, I wanted to be able to offer X amount of classes and feel out what was needed, and then also stay in line with everything else that's happening around us, because they're all doing a good job. But anyway, we split it up, kid karts and all the 206 categories on one weekend, and then a following or another weekend in that month, we did tag cadet all the way up to 125 shifter, and it allowed for a much better quality event. Me being brand new to that role, it was very much needed. But at the same time, it allowed me to kind of be in touch with everything that was happening, and make sure that we did a good job. I mean, the racers are coming there, and I want to give them the absolute best event that we can give them. So now that everything is lifted, maybe for now, then but we're going to continue. We're going to continue that format, to answer your question in the long way, because I love it, and the feedback I got lines up with that. So that's going to stay.
Yeah, and I can understand, for some of the teams that are out there that are kind of doing, double duty with multiple, clients and different engine packages and stuff. It makes it a little bit harder for them. But I kind of remember when I first got back into competitive karting, and there was a couple club races I went to, and they were long, long days. And here I am. I wasn't chasing the trophy. I wasn't going for a national championship. I just wanted to go to my local club, get some laps in, get home at a decent time, because Monday I had to go back to work. And when I heard about your format and I started following, it's like, man, this is perfect. I mean, typically, what time do you get done on your four-stroke weekend and then your two-stroke weekend?
Usually, the awards ceremony is done by 4:30, and that's
The
with
award
7
ceremony.
classes.
Yeah,
Pardon?
the award ceremony.
Yeah,
So that's the end of the day at
yeah. At the
4:30.
end of the day, it's 4:30. Tech is finished, awards are done, everybody can socialize, but basically slowly pack up and get home by 5:30, 5, 6, 7, wherever you're living. But we still can do 2 heat races, qualifying, and a main event, and not just chop it.
Yeah. And then comparing the 206 weekend to like the two-stroke weekend, um, the two-stroke weekend is also popular, but I think
Yeah.
it's been overshadowed by the huge success of the four-stroke weekend. So talk about the two-stroke stuff.
It's a it's a it's what this sport was kind of born and came from, right? I mean, it's every engine package that we offer is the same, anywhere that you would go, but it lines up um, with what's already in existence. For instance, maybe somebody I meet would like to get involved in the sport, get started, then I'd prefer not to sell them an X30 and then have them hurt themselves or become frustrated, or it's not even the expense. It's a little bit more expensive, but that's just the way it goes. But it's now, thanks to Briggs, a good stepping stone. It's okay. Let me learn racecraft. Let me learn how to pass, get past, start the race, and not just. What happens is you end up entering a race with 14 people. It's your first race, and you're by yourself practicing half a lap behind, and that's okay, but it becomes frustrating, no matter who you are. How do I get better? What do I do? And I think in the Briggs, at least what I'm watching, you have that upper tier of 5-10 years experience doing a phenomenal job. Then you've got the middle of the pack where it's their first, second year and they're all racing together. And then you've got brand new ex-driver, and they get that pack right in front of them that's half a second faster, and they can see, and then by the end of the weekend they're almost racing with them. And that second pack has the leaders who are just 3/10 faster than them, period, and they can latch onto them because they're racing. So then they slow down and it becomes this freight train of 20-30 go-karts. And to me, whether I'm going 30 miles an hour or 130, I like to race. So I got over years ago the whole, it's a four-stroke, that doesn't light my fire. No, I love it. You ask anybody that comes to our place. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for it, and if I was going to race tomorrow, I'd build a 206.
Yeah,
But
and you have
back to the two-stroke.
back to the
It
two-stroke. Yeah.
is it is a fun weekend. You get that noise, you get that smell. It's a lot louder. The racing is fantastic, and it consists of some of this crossover. Sometimes we get 4 or 5 kids and adults from each category that are doing both, but more often than not, it's a whole separate uh, list of people that are coming to race what they already have or what they've decided they would like to own. An 80 shifter, a 125 shifter, a X30, a Rock, a KA, which is a great package. Our junior and senior field is really cool, very competitive, and they're doing a great job. And the Tag Masters is kind of a mixed bag of all engine types, and I'm going to leave that alone as well, just because at the level that we are a local club. I'm not going to mandate an engine package in that Tag Masters category, because I like seeing the 2008 Leopards. I like seeing the Rock GPs. I like seeing the X30s. And quite honestly, I'm thinking back, I mean, there's usually a different engine package winning. So it lends itself well to what we're doing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because that's always an argument at the high levels of, oh, well, then you need an engine package of the week. But again, we're talking about
Yeah.
club racing. And I mean, there's guys out there that don't even know what starting pressure on tire pressures to put in the cart, but yet they're worried about, oh, I need this engine to have X amount of horsepower, and what gear do I need, and all these other things. And I think at the end of the day, for that beginner type guy, it doesn't matter. Just get out there, start driving, and have fun.
Yeah. And even the very experienced, there's some really experienced folks at the track with literally Leopards from 2008 or prior. And when the day comes, because it is this mixture, I think when you go to a large sanctioned event with a whole bunch of professionals, all within the same 0.3 of a second, if you do mix in 4 or 5 different engine packages, that those folks in charge are going to have a difficult time appeasing everybody. We saw it. It's just going to fall apart. So you need to, and they need to, and they did do exactly what is right. And this is the engine package. This is the weight. This is the tires.
Yeah.
And where we are right now, the combination of accepting the fact that I, as the driver, have a little bit more to learn before I'm going to go buy a different motor. I might see that gentleman's X30 has got something a little bit different on me in certain areas of the track, but they don't feel compelled to run to the store and buy an X30 because it's going to save their weekend. You know, it becomes their own choice of, yeah, you know what, maybe next year I'll get an X30 or I'll get a Rock because I see that gentleman is, you know, got a little bit more power on me at the end of the straightaway, and I'd like to have that. And I feel like I'm on his bumper everywhere else. Boom. Okay. Well, and that just plays a nice role in the industry. You know, go see Greg, go see Austin, come see me, and put a different motor on your car. But it's not this forced feeling of, well, Donald, you're letting every motor run. There's only 5-10 pounds between the two, and I can't, you know, touch my backside with 2 hands. That doesn't come up at all, because it's just, hey, I'm aware of what the class is, and quite honestly, there's nobody left behind. Like I said, every single different engine package and different drivers have all been on the top step of the podium. So for the moment, it's working out well.
Very good. So you have 4-stroke weekends and 2-stroke weekends, and then we'll have Ashley throughout the broadcast. She'll bring up the dates for the first 2 events and stuff, being that it's a split weekend. So we have those queued up for you. There we go. 206, March 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
Race number 1.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. And then 2-stroke club race number 1, April 30th and May 1st. And it's funny, you hear, you know, March, and it's like, oh, that's so far away. But I remember wrapping up 2021 in October going, man, we got all kinds of time until the season. And here we are, January 10th, 2022, and the season is upon us.
Month and a half, and then we go live.
You go live, yeah. It's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah.
So let's bring this thing in a lot closer. So you have some. Speaking of 2021, you have your awards banquet coming up.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it was about halfway through the season when we had this. I'm so grateful, you know, just participation. And everybody's just good mood and wanting to help and wanting to race in this fashion that I'm asking them to race, you know, clean, respectful, hard, but not barbaric. And anyway, with that being said, I don't know, at one point we were up on the stairs doing the awards presentation, and I thought I was just proud of everybody that was there. And it made me start thinking about, oh man, you know what? I need to plan a banquet. We're having a race season. We're collecting points. We're in a championship. So what's next on my plate? You know, I need to start thinking about a banquet. So I put some thought into it, and banquets are a lot of fun. It's the end of the season. You have something to celebrate. Everybody gets together in a different environment. You know, you're not bent over a cart stand, you know, changing your sprocket. You're wearing something that nobody sees you wear typically, and you're having a good time. So I wanted to go just a step further in my own mind, and not get together in a room and have a nice meal and say thank you and go home. I kind of wanted to make it this event. So I promised my peers that we would do something special, you know, whether it was a winery or let's just go classy and let's have a great time. Bring your families, bring your loved ones that may or may not come to the track, and put on some nice clothes, and let's enjoy a nice meal, listen to some music. So fast forward, there is this mansion on the side of Grant Line Road that, even as a client of Prairie City driving there from San Jose. It was just like, what is that place? You know, there's 60 acres of grapes in the front yard, and there's this beautiful Mediterranean looking, you know, homes, 30,000 square feet. Anyway, it was just there. And a very good friend of mine, and also participant at the track, is Daryl Doan, and he is involved with the city of Elk Grove. So he helped me get in touch with the folks there, and we rented it for the day, and we're going to set up a bunch of lights. We're going to set up a bunch of heaters and fireplaces and pictures. And I've been having fun. Now it's crunch time. Everything's dialed. We've got a live band up here. I don't know if you can see the second story, but they're going to play in that 3-window veranda up there. And yeah. And I got some red carpet. So you're going to walk up, you're going to stamp your hand. You're going to walk down the red carpet with stanchions on the side. You're going to have this movie premiere backdrop right as you walk in the backyard. Turn around, hug your family, take a picture. I think I'm going to have 2 of my daughters snapping pictures for everybody so we can share them and show them, and then, you know, feel special. Anyway, I'm rambling on because I'm stoked. It's finally here on Saturday, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
So it's going to be Saturday, and you're talking about a band.
Yeah.
So what type of band do you have going on?
A very good friend of mine, Jeff Lanzaro, lends his help at the track a lot, and he is friends with a band. Give me 30 seconds and I'll get their name, because I just talked to the gentleman, Dave, and I didn't use his band name. But with that being said, 3 Shots of Rock is their name. Sorry. So 3 Shots of Rock, they came and played at one of our club races, and it was awesome. You know, it was towards the end of the day. They set up shop. They had a blast. They were awesome. And everybody kind of congregated and listened and chatted and moved around. And anyway, when I went to tour this property, the event coordinator told me that bands go up on the 2nd story all the time. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. So I called Jeff and hired their band, and it'll be good. It'll just be kind of, you know, not nonstop loud music in this nice setting, but just, you know, while we're getting dinner, let's play a song right before the awards. I think we'll do some AC/DC introduction to some kids walking up to get their awards or something. But my goal, honestly, is to give back, say thank you, go the extra mile, and try and plan something to where we can get outside and have some fun and remember why we're doing this. And I'm excited to socialize with everybody where I don't have to run off to the telephone or go sign someone up, and just take a deep breath and enjoy everybody's company, because they've all become very good friends of mine very quickly.
Now, since I like my food, what's on the menu?
We got tri-tip, bread, salad, couple different types of pasta, linguine, some vegetables, and then a taco bar with 3 different types of meat and all the toppings and whatnot. So you can kind of make your own. I think it's, you know, carne asada, barbacoa, and some sauteed pork. Anyway, it was all really good.
Some sauteed pork. You had me at tri-tip and bread.
What do they call that? Chili Colorado? That's not it though. But
chili Colorado's in a red sauce. You got chili verde, carnitas.
Nitas.
Maybe
one of those. So that's coming up Saturday. Is it too late for people to register or sign up?
No, and this is my biggest downfall in life and in my new job, but communication. But anyway, we reached out to the 170 people that are coming so far and made sure they knew, and they were getting an award, and this is the time. But I have poorly got it on the website. At the same time, what I want to express is, as much as I want the whole world to come, it is not closed off. It's not closed door. Nobody's not invited. I just need to know. So I've expressed that to everybody, and they've done a great job. You know, if they're coming, they will have a table with their name on it and the amount of people that they're coming. Because the other part of it is, it's not just a room that I can fill up. There's a significant surcharge as the number of people goes up on the event side, not on my side. I'm not raising our prices or doing anything different, but if I invited all my friends and we had 300 people, then it would double in price.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's no different. We had Andy Saisman on last weekend, and we were talking about pre-registrations and the importance as a race promoter to pre-registration. There's really no difference. I mean, if someone's going to
Right.
show up a Saturday at 3 o'clock and you don't know they were attending, then how do you know how many tables to have, how many chairs to have? You can't tell the caterers, oh, we have 150 people, then you end up with 250. It's like, hey, where were those 150, or 100 people calling in ahead of time? Yeah, we want you there,
Yeah,
but
that's
let
okay.
us know.
We got it on the honor system, and I'm good with that. We gave them a call. They said how many people are coming. Your table's ready.
Your table's ready. Good deal. So what is your biggest thing that you're looking forward to that event? Like one single thing. Is it not being
Out of the
pulled
banquet?
19 directions? What's that?
The banquet?
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, yeah. I'm looking forward to dressing up. I never get to do that anymore, and I like it. So I'm gonna dress up. Gonna get out of my jeans and track stuff and have a good time. I'm looking forward to, honestly, I'm looking forward to putting on a party for all of my friends who have supported me in the utmost way. And I cannot wait to show them a good time and congratulate them on all of their well-deserved awards, give out some special awards, recognize some folks that have really done some incredible things, and then also just get to walk around and talk to everybody. I'm not going to sit in a corner and, I'm going to do the presenting. I'm going to go around and socialize. I'm going to chat with everybody. We're going to take pictures. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time.
Yeah. And
Away
that'll
from
be
the
good for
track. I
people
love
too.
the track, but we're going to be able to away from the track. Pardon?
Yeah. Well, and that'll be good for people that maybe know you a little bit, but not really well, to see you in a different setting. Because I see you all the time at Prairie City, and I don't know how many times I've been pulling at your sleeve, like, come, no, we gotta go look at this now. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then you have 5 guys walk up for a rental cart, or you have 3 guys going to the pro shop trying to, grab some parts, or you have a guy that just can't get his engine started. Then who's out there? Donald running all over the place, trying to make all this happen. So it'd be really neat to see, and you have that opportunity to go, okay, let's party.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna see everybody. And to your point, I like being busy. I like helping everybody. One of my biggest faults is probably that I don't ask for help, and it goes from hiring more people or, quite frankly, just asking for help. I mean, my friends, I say they're all my friends, but they, what do you need? How can I help? I don't know. I'm not good at that, but I like being involved with everything that's happening. And it's not a micromanaged thing. It's not a control thing. It's just, this gentleman and his 2 daughters just walked in the pro shop, and they're at my house, and they can go meet Tommy and sign in, and I'm going to let them. But then I want to go and meet him and say hi and welcome and thanks for being here, and that way they know, like, okay, I can go and talk to him. He's in charge, whatever, but he's approachable. I've met Donald. Yes, I know who Donald is. He was very helpful, and that's quite the biggest compliment I can ever have, is they had a good experience at my house.
Very good. That's nice. That's a good insight.
Speaking of good experiences at your house, so in 2021, you hosted the IKF Grand Nationals. How was that?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I really wanted that to happen there, and then I got some very positive push from the community, like, hey, when is this happening? What's happening? What's going on? And it was all positive. And I honestly, without that, I might have just subdued into daily routine and it would have slipped on by. So everybody that sent me a message or called me or emailed me and said, you know, when's it happening? Thank you. It was another stepping stone, learning curve.
Yeah,
I can
because
put in my notebook.
you had never put on, no, because it was you started in 2019. So this was your first like big deal.
Yeah, this was
Okay.
This was at the end of our first race season, which I was terrified of, or maybe just more worried about. And that was beyond amazing in terms of just how I feel like it went and grew and was absorbed. And the feedback I have I'm grateful for. But this was the first large spotlight event that a lot of people were counting on me to do. I mean, shoot, what if I forgot to get the pit spots ready? What if I didn't have the right computer system ready to, you know, all these things that go through your head went through mine. Registration, that was a whole new hurdle, you know. But anyway, the folks from the IKF really came through and helped me, you know, get it all done correctly. And to answer your question, it was one of the funnest weekends I've had last year. It was really good environment, really good memories, really good racing, and great people.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
there.
what I liked about that weekend was the vibe of you had, you know, IKF. You and I know this, Donald, and well, even Ashley knows this. She's been around forever too. It's IKF.
Yeah.
You had Region 11, right? And that was our very competitive series, and people don't understand it nowadays that are new to the sport. But IKF is where the fast club guys went. That was just bottom line. And your local club would say, you're not ready for IKF this year. Maybe wait a year and build up to it. And it was really neat to see that vibe kind of come back to NorCal, where a lot of the fast club guys from throughout the whole region showed up. And then you had my friend Timmy Lobaugh show up from Texas. And you had, is it Joe Cena? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Is he from like
Joe
Wisconsin?
Senna.
Joe Senna? So he's back
he came from
the Midwest somewhere. And so you had these big names coming in to support the event. And it's like, and to me, it kind of just encapsulated, that's what IKF was. It was always grassroots based with high level competition. And that was a really fun weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did a great job for not hosting any races in 2020, taking over the track at the end of 2019. And it's like, oh, wait, okay, we have the green light to race stuff in 2021. Let's go. And yeah, I thought you did an exceptional job with the IKF thing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. So you started Prairie City in 2019. A question that I have is so back in the day, you guys were actually trying to get a track in San Jose. How much of the vision that you and Don Sr. had in the San Jose track did you incorporate into the Prairie City track?
So I'm going to be honest with you, like right in the middle of that, for some reason it froze, but I could kind of hear you, and I'm so sorry because it's my fault. But I think the gist was how much of that crossed over into the Prairie City track.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Almost all of it. So that story begins with Cambrian Go-Karts is our retail company, retail go-kart shop, team, etc. And we all have a lot of memories with that. And my favorite conversation starter or joke was always, you know, people would come in the shop. We were in Campbell or in San Jose, California, and you know, there's no track within 2.5 hours. We're a golf pro shop with no golf course in sight. Why are we
Well, and
existing?
then
And how do we exist?
that was one thing that was hard too, because like I answered the phones at Cambrian go-karts, right? So try
Right.
explaining to somebody coming from Oakland while you're in San Jose how to get to Sonoma type thing.
Yeah.
So I do remember that. It was literally like, sorry, we have nowhere closer than
Yeah. Yeah. We're not a
Sonoma.
track.
Yeah.
So, and then, traveling all of the time is the job, and full of memories. Wouldn't change it for the world, but it's taxing. It's a little bit different, when it's 30 or 40 minutes or even an hour. But anyway, I'm not crying. But with that being said, there is some state property or city property, the Santa Clara Fairgrounds. There was about 150 acres that have just been run over. The fair was kind of falling apart, but there was a lot of room, and the fair could still exist. And nobody needs 150 acres for the go-kart track, but being basically dormant and not doing anything for the city and kind of being an eyesore, somebody introduced us to some people in an office, and the conversations and dream began of, hey, would you consider letting us put a beautiful facility on this property? There's a need for it in this area. It doesn't sound like the greatest idea you've ever heard, because you've never heard of a go-kart before. I'm talking to the folks in the room, but let me give you a little history on this sport and what it can be, and we'll do it. We just need to use your land or come up with some kind of agreement. So then, of course, you talk about revenue and taxes, and it starts to become fun, and that turns into a whole year conversation. And then year 2 is the first sign of red tape, well, noise and people, and that's the day I should have just been like, gotta go. Instead, my father, who I love to death and is extremely stubborn, wrote it out for 8 years. I think there was 8 years of meetings and board meetings and city council meetings, and I can't just be the one that wants to reap all the benefits and not go to these meetings. So 8 years of craziness. Best thing that ever happened is that did not happen, because I'm here and so much happier, and I don't owe somebody $10 million, because that's what it would be. I mean, you and Andy have had this conversation before, but you got $1 million in asphalt, and you're not going to build this world-class facility and make it look like everything else. You're going to put in
Dude,
garages.
We wanted palm trees.
You're going to put in palm trees
everywhere.
Palm trees were on that transpired because that was on my business plan. I had to write this letter to the mayor of what it's going to look like, and my beginning statement was, picture driving down the driveway to this blah 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 with rows of palm trees on either side. Ashley, he saw it, and so that's why there's palm trees and tires at the track, because that's the next best thing.
Yeah.
At Prairie City.
All right. So, okay, 2019, you guys are. How did you get into how Prairie City? How did that come up? How did
we're lucky enough. Our friends, Bill and Darcy and Alex and Matt Keys, were running the track. And I remember actually the day that they took control of it, and they were really excited. And Alex at the time was really pushing hard on his career. I think it was rally cars. So he was doing a lot of driver coaching, and for all the same reasons, right? You have this facility, you sell go-karts, you rent go-karts, and they were doing the same thing. And I think maybe more so using it as a way to showcase Alex's talents and kind of, put him to work. Not in any other way other than just here's the family business, let's build it. And his dad got a big promotion, which relocated him to Los Angeles. And when that happened, it became difficult, right? I mean, it's not a one-person job. It's a big project, big job. And then also, you know, now the family is in two different parts of the state, you know, so Bill and Darcy approached me because they had already known about the decade of sitting in board meetings for a track in San Jose, which wasted our life. But all kidding aside, you're like, hey, you know, would you be interested in purchasing this? And the initial answer was like, yes. And then it was like, oh, hold on. All right, so I live in San Jose, and that's what I was not trying to do. And then it seemed like almost overnight. At the moment, it seems like overnight. But what happened is I sold my house. My dad sold his house. I have no idea how that happened. But we got everything out of it, and he sold his house. We bought a house in Shingle Springs. We built a shop in, I always say build a shop. We leased a space and put a go-kart shop in Rancho Cordova, Cambrian go-karts. And the reason that happened first was actually there was, respectfully, just some cold feet, I think probably on both parties. At one point, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to commit this amount of money and commitment to forever. And that sounds terrible, but hear me out. Let me finish my sentence. I know and knew that I wanted to do like the best job that I could ever do. And I just moved to Shingle Springs, and kind of my life changed. All of a sudden, is like I was home every single day for dinner. Even if I worked on the weekend, I was home in 30 minutes. And I think for like a month, I temporarily fell in love with that. You know what? There's a lot of overhead in San Jose, a lot of overhead, and it a lot of way. And I thought, you know what if I just work like 4 days a week? You know, I can run a successful go-kart. No. So when I got past that pipe dream of not working and rekindled our conversation, we then took it very seriously and all sat down and went through the transition stage. And it seemed like at the end of 2019 was a good time, and the Keys family finished up their season and their banquet, and then, you know, effectively naturally over the off season we kind of just transitioned. So that's how that came about, and it was a very good day. So I'm grateful for them, the Keys family, to giving me this opportunity to step in.
And then how quickly, when you guys opened in 2020, did it just like shut down, or did you not even open in 2020 at all?
We did open. There was zero sign of this pandemic showing up. So it was November, and myself and my warriors and best friends at the time were working with me. Seth Huntley, Grant, Hunter Kelly was working at that time, and some others. So the first thing we did was just go out to the track because it was quiet, it was cold, and we just pulled weeds for like 3 weeks. And not because, for the reason of it was time to move in. So that was the easiest thing to start doing. And I don't even know why I got onto that, but it was quiet. There was nobody there. I didn't have to do anything, and I didn't know what to do. It was a go-kart track that I had the keys to, and now I needed to move in and start figuring out that vision, as you brought up earlier. Like, okay, where do we start? And where we started was just move in, clean house, start over, and blank slate. I felt it was necessary to introduce some visual change, like, oh, something's different, good or bad, doesn't matter, but something's different. What's going on? Let me ask some questions. Let me get some chatter going about it. And we were really lucky. We had great reception from the public. Fortunately, because I have been involved in the industry in Northern California for almost 30 years, as a person, and then as an industry, and as a company, and then as an owner. But when that chatter started to happen, good or bad, then we started to not be lonely there anymore, and we had people there every day, and I started to figure out, what did we need to do? So we introduced a membership program. We introduced trailer storage, and then we started to build up on races, and we started to look at calendars, and I got my tutorial of a friend of mine, Brian, involved with KPX at the time, sent me this master calendar of SCUSA, Davis, KPX, Dixon, Stockton, and it was like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's build a season. And then in March, our first race was the 17th, and on the 15th, the state worker walked over and said, you got to go home. And I was like, well, so put the word out, and fortunately that we had some help from the news and the National Guard, but everybody went home, and we didn't leave home for a little while. And that was probably a good thing. I've said that before, but I wasn't ready. I was not ready to put on a series in 2020. We didn't have the right people. We didn't have enough people. We didn't have the time to get to know everybody. And this is going to segue on my own into kind of what I really, really, really respect out of what has become of this is, if I were to go and talk to somebody in 2020 at the scales, perhaps about something that I didn't agree with, or they had a question about a call, I wouldn't want them to, but I wouldn't blame them to look at me and be like, whatever, F off. But I had a year to gain everyone's respect in terms of, he's a stand-up guy. If he has something to say to me, I know at least he's going to treat me the same way he's going to treat everybody else. Or I have faith that Donald is not going to do anything political or sway one way or the other. And what became of that really quickly was there wasn't anything but good conversations happening. The dirty driving, or I'd rather call it naive driving, because dirty is when you go out there, you're vicious and you're trying. You can see that person from a mile away, and there's a few of them and they're gone.
Yeah.
But naive driving is when you come in and you're pissed because this guy or girl just drove over you in the middle of the corner and bent your fairing. But what actually happened is you weren't aware that they were there, or vice versa. But you turned into them. They had the pass completed. It was all done. And you fought it so hard because you were too proud to let that corner go. They did end up driving over you, but you basically inserted yourself under them. And that method of conversation got through quickly. And I pride ourselves. The driver's meeting is the quick, good morning, how are you? I love you. Thank you for being here. And then we kind of get into the agenda for the day. Here's a reminder. And we do all this stuff, and we talk about what is going to happen today. This is what's going to happen to you, unless we remember a couple of these key examples. And I swear, one of my proudest moments is probably about half season when I saw in almost every single category, except for maybe the junior ones, because, you know, they are great kids, but they don't care. But they drive well. And they did grasp the concept. They're doing a phenomenal job. But in the adults, where I'm going with this is I saw in every category a sign of respect when someone was getting passed. I mean, literally, it's like it's infected. It's infectious. You know, this person who usually would cram someone down to the curb now looked over, saw it, and their body English just said, "All right, go, and I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to pass you back later." And that's good racing. But it's getting contagious, and I'm very, very proud of that.
So speaking of Prairie City, I have a video queued up. You want to walk us through the track?
Sure.
I want to surprise you with the direction and everything.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're gonna. I don't even know all the corner numbers. Okay, I'm not a number corner guy.
And we're coming down the straightaway. Briggs 206.
What you'll see here is go-karts on either side of the straightaway.
So is this the respect you're talking about right there?
No.
No.
Yeah, and see that problem solved. I put 2 layers of tires right there. Nobody can cut the track there. This is an old video.
Yeah, this was, I think, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the reason this is up here is so people can get an idea in the general layout of the track itself. And I kind of like the graphics with the mile per hour and everything on it. And I think I stole this from Michael Ting's channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part. Look over the wrong shoulder. Look to the inside. So there is Prairie City. That's one of your layouts. You have a number of different layouts available.
There's a lot of them, but there's really, I think there's 4, let's count, but there's like 4 good ones. We're set up right now for the first race and the first KPX race. I was really thankful. A good friend of mine, Brad Schmidt, and his brother Zach and his dad Tom, they have a company called ANRAC, and they do a whole bunch of asphalt grinding all over the world, basically. But they've dipped their fingers into the street sweeper business, probably because it's a smart move and it's part of their job, so they might as well own it. But they've come out twice now and licked that place clean. There's not a marble, there's not, right now there's no rubber either, but there's nothing on the track. It's perfect. So we cleaned off all of the different sections of the track so we can really quickly change it. But where I was going with that is right now we're set up for what I call the Grand Prix and modified perimeter combined. And right here, you've got a U-turn, and that kind of makes the Grand Prix portion of it. Now you're going to come along, continue this way. And instead of running all along the back after you come down the hill, in about 3 seconds, you're going to turn left right there and go back into the infield and add a whole nother section of infield, and you're going to enter the straightaway from the other side. And it's a lot of fun. We ran it a couple times last year, and it's a lot of fun. So we're going to run that for the first club race and the KPX. And then we're lucky enough to have KPX come 3 times. So I'm going to make sure it's 3 completely different configurations. But the Grand Prix track is probably the most traditional, and we do that a lot, and it's a lot of fun, and it kind of has a little bit of everything. The reverse Grand Prix is something that we came up with, and it's that entire track, but backwards, and it has maybe a little bit more passing opportunity to it. And then there's the modified perimeter and the modified perimeter reverse. And then this one that I was just describing. Those are all good ones that are, you know, kind of the full 50 to 30-second lap time. And the track layout itself, it just doesn't lend itself to passing at all. And when I started seeing 20, 30 carts in the field, it's this big long line of carts and nobody's able to do anything clean because there really is no opportunity. Then I don't want to offer those tracks. I mean, those layouts, because passing is the most fun. I mean, that is what makes the race, and it's good for
Why we race.
Yeah, it's why we race.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree too. If you have tracks that don't have a lot of passing zones, then the aggression factor goes way higher.
Yeah, you get frustrated real quick and you do something that you shouldn't, and that ultimately comes back to you, but it ruins someone else's day, and there's no room for that. I mean, everybody put in the same amount of work. If you happen to be behind somebody that's holding you up, if they're doing it the wrong way, then we'll move them. But if they're doing it the right way and it's just hard to pass, that becomes frustrating. And you got to keep your cool. You might want to just back off 2 cart lengths and figure out where your pass is going to come from. But when you're glued to their bumper, especially in a 206, you're not going to pull over and out throttle them. You need to plan in advance.
Yeah.
And that's
speaking of passing and such, SCUSA recently announced they're doing away with the pushback bumper system. So me personally, I was never a fan of it. I don't know. It just, I'm a shifter guy.
Yeah.
Shifter guys don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But so you're a racer. You're a clutch kart guy. You raced 80s. I mean, you raced everything back in the day. So as a track owner, as a track marshal, and as a racer, what do you think about the pushback bumper? And are you going to follow the SCUSA rule and make it optional for your track, or is it mandatory?
No, we're going to make it mandatory.
Okay.
Only because, at least for another year, because it opened everybody's eyes. And there was a couple of remarks, on it, probably online. That's for tracks that don't have corner workers, or that's for tracks that don't have good officiating. And there's probably some truth to that, for sure. I mean, it could be this tool that says, well, we don't have to watch anything, because if the bumper's knocked in when they get in the scales, they get a penalty. I don't care about that. I don't want somebody to get a penalty for the wrong reason, and I want to know why they got a penalty. So I pride myself in being out there. I recently, probably not safe, but I stapled this pallet to the top of the fence so I could stand up and I can see everything, but I like it. There's probably a bunch of things that I could do in the pit, and one thing that I would like to do more of is walk up and down the pit on race day. But right now, I'm needed on the track because, again, it's my house, and I want you to come there and know that when you race, that somebody is going to be accountable for their actions, and what comes from that is the actions start to go away. Because when you're held accountable and it doesn't feel good, maybe you want to argue about it, and that's probably just a natural reaction. But if you really are uncomfortable with the call, or you don't like the fact that you actually lost 5 positions, or somebody actually saw that, then you usually stop. And it did. And again, some of it was naive, some of it was unknown. But back to the pushback bumpers, I like the fact, if nothing else, here's what I hate. I hate the fact that if you truly, honestly, accidentally get an infraction, I feel bad. I do. Somebody, just the domino effect on the start. But why don't we, and this is my conversation at the beginning of the race, why don't we all become selfish for a minute and protect our nose on the start? Why don't we forget about the fact that we think we can go from 13th to 3rd and remember that if you knock your front nose into the back of a car, hook someone's tire, turn them around, decide you're so far back there no one's watching anyway, now you're held accountable. But that, again, to my point, I don't want it to get to that point. I just want that thing to scare them, the driver, enough to say, you know what? Let me just wait till we get single file. I can take it from there. I know how to pass. I know how to get by somebody. I can push them down the straightaway and it's not going to get knocked in, but I cannot drill them in the brake zone because I'm tired of sitting behind them and hope that no one saw it. So I'm going to keep them.
Okay. And then a question
We
just
have a
came in from John Smith. Would you, John Smith, is that our Sonoma John Smith?
Mm-hmm.
That is okay. So Chris Martin, would you use GoPro video to help make a call on a penalty?
I would hope that I wouldn't have to, but I have before. Yeah, I would. Only if it was crystal clear. I mean, not the picture, but the angle, the position. If I open up that door, and this is why people don't, if you open up that door, then you're just going to be sitting in an office with 70,000 GoPros on you. But if I feel like I want to go see something that is in question that really needs an answer, I hope that I already have the answer. I hope that I can live with my answer. I've been really fortunate that the incidents have basically disappeared. They don't exist. But if I was going to answer you honestly, yeah, I would.
Yeah, you don't, I mean, I can probably read into that saying you don't want everybody in the world coming up with a GoPro for every little tiny incident trying to prove how right they were. But
well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, we can, this won't become a thing. Of course, now maybe it will, but like I said, it almost has to be from somebody else's cart. If it's on your cart and you're showing me how you had the inside and he turned into you, I'm going to trust my eyeballs better because I'm outside of your body, way up here, up in the sky, and I'm just going to live with my decision. And I guess probably to answer that even more directly, if I'm really comfortable with the decision, then that means I saw it. I'm not just sticking to my decision because that's stupid too. Like we don't need to be stubborn. I'm all ears. Let's talk. If you want to yell, then we don't have time. But I haven't experienced that ever. But I've experienced it in my life at the go-kart track for sure. And it's just like an officer. If you don't want this ticket, you're gonna tell him to no. You're gonna talk to him and find out, is there anything I can do? What's the problem? Explain it to me. I'm all ears. And the handful of times that I've had to explain a scenario to the recipient of the penalty, I think honestly I can say every single time when it was broken down to them and explained in a civil manner, I don't remember any of them saying anything other than, yeah, I can see it that way. But to be honest with you, I'm, knock on wood, really lucky that we have a clean atmosphere, respectful racing.
Well, and that's one of the things I kind of really learned last year while we were doing the live streaming is you're watching it live. When you're live streaming, you have multiple cameras, you have your monitor, you're watching it live out of the tower, you have everything going on. And I remember there was a couple of times I had called a certain call, and then I went back that night after I got home, I went to YouTube, checked it out. It's like, oh, wait, that's not how I recalled it. Like, I called it live, but then when I saw it in the video, it's like, oh, wait, okay, there's a different interpretation that's on video
Right.
versus what I saw. And I've seen that a couple times with video where it's like, I understand as a race director, Ashley can really attest to this because many of you may not know Ashley as, I mean, she's pretty much worked all the tracks in Northern California.
Yeah, and
And
all the different jobs too.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't realize how big of a bottleneck there can be in the tower with people. They want to dispute a call. They want to get a hold of a race director. They want to show a video. And, the scoring and timing, they're just like, we're on schedule. We got to get going. The race director's out there. And I can see where that would be a bottleneck too if everyone has their little SD card. Here, watch.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, as things get bigger everywhere you go, and us as well, then there will be naturally more conversations like that are going to come up. Usually it doesn't need to be attended to immediately. You just kind of play that by ear, but
Yeah.
Usually if there's a penalty in any track, any race, you don't necessarily need to run from the infield or up on top of the scissor lift to go explain to that driver what happened. They either know, they might have a different opinion, but they know, and they're not going to race for another 45 minutes, just hang tight.
No, so now we're speaking about cameras, GoPro. We kind of got a little bit segued a little bit. And then Ashley, she's going to do one of two things. She's probably going to remind us of our time. But you have the cameras all over the whole track. What's that?
I got the time always.
You got the time always. You have 13, 14, 15 cameras around your track. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. I was looking at the comments. I have cameras around the track. Yes.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So are those
are novelty? Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want you to underplay it. Because when you say novelty, it almost underplays the effort you put in with the cameras. Because you could sit
put in a lot of effort. I wasn't sure. I thought you were going to go into direct policing from it, and I would never use those.
Well, a little segue into policing from it, but do you have, this is kind of probably an off the camera conversation, but I'm going to ask it now because my ADD won't remember. But do you have the ability to record with that stuff?
I found out there is. We don't use it, but you can go back. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's no need to.
Maybe that's something to think about, going on into the future. It's like, okay, well, you have your GoPro. It's like, okay, well, we have 15 of them.
Yeah.
So
I think at that point I would just have to feel comfortable enough in my own skin that I made the right decision, or the person making the decisions made the right decision, and respectfully just dismiss the camera. I mean, if the camera showed me something, if it was, I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but the cameras at the track are there for the pit's pleasure.
Yeah,
Prairie City
I love it. I love being able to stand in the pits and watch every turn.
Yeah. Prairie City is a unique place where 3/4 of the track and almost all of the excitement are close to being out of view. Yeah. We trimmed a bunch of trees in the middle and lifted them way up so that you can see through to the other side. But there's still a big elevation change that you disappear from. And quite frankly, when I was racing there as a kid, that was the dark place where people would take you and turn you around and no one knew. But
question is the catwalk going to be made available in 2022?
I don't think so, but I'll tell you why in just a second. And I will. And the only reason I say I don't think so is there's going to be some other construction happening towards the end of the year that will be a little out of my control, but I'll also have some input on. So before we do anything like that, I'm going to see where that takes us, and I'll explain that in just a second. But the cameras, allow the people sitting in the not in the grandstands, but in the pits or in the covered lunch area to actually kind of follow along, actually very well, the kart you want to watch or just the whole thing. And it's just another. My goal for that was purely entertainment. Let's involve the people that are watching. I'll tell you, if I'm there to watch a race and they disappear and then they come back, it gets a little boring. So between lifting the trees and then putting multiple cameras at each corner in different directions, you can follow that 16 screen TV and watch where everybody's going. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of work, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it took a while for me to get used to, but now that I understand, which direction the carts are going when they're coming into the next screen, it's fun to watch, especially when you have your buddies out there and you're like doing, just hot laps or something. It's like, oh, what are they doing? And then you're watching.
Yeah. Well, and then it helped us too. I'm never there alone. So whether it's Seth or Colby or myself or Tommy, our responsibility is to keep everybody safe there as well. And if there's a young man, woman, child sideways underneath a barrier out of sight, very easily 10 minutes could go by. But now, if there's not somebody on the track in a recovery vehicle, then there's eyes on the camera and oh, all right, let's go. Just roll out there and get them. So that helps a lot.
And then it looks like we have a question from my buddy Dan. There you go. Gear Nuts. There we go. As devout two-stroke amateurs, do you foresee electric carts coming to racing?
Not anytime soon. They're there. They exist. Their novelty is probably not quite the right word, but it's a real thing. I know Rotax has put a lot of effort into building one. Burrell Art just came out with an electric rental cart, which is probably a good thing, but not quite the same, but it's probably an impressive piece. It's the way the world will go, but I don't think we'll see it in the time that we're invested in this sport, only because there's way too much riding on the industry itself in the production of engines. The chassis would have to change. The engine manufacturers, IAME, Vortex, TM, they're too big to fail. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. I think our only skewed point of view is that we are in California. So
well, for sure. Without a doubt, that would be something that would be out of our control if something mandated, no more two strokes, period. I think for a long time it's been off-highway use. They're not going to sell a two-stroke Vespa probably anymore, but at the same time, off-highway use has been the verbiage on all these engines, or racing purpose only. But there is definitely, I don't know all of the details, but talk about generators and gas motors in general, small engines, right? In California, something's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't think, but I'm not the best person.
It's something we need to be aware of and keep our eye on, but
I don't think we put a big enough footprint to get their radar for yet.
Yeah.
I don't think dirt bikes are going to get it first.
Yeah, I would agree. Dirt bikes and jet skis and the power sports industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Final thoughts. Donald, looking ahead to 2022, any final thoughts for your season?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I keep hearing from new people and different people saying we're really excited to be there. So I'm anticipating an even better turnout, which will make me do an even better job, which will make me deliver on everything that's been promised. And that's really the cool thing is, being held accountable for the things that I say out loud, time to follow through. You're not talking to your friend in a corridor, you're talking to the people that provide your life. And you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. So We're going to patch some problematic areas on the side of the track, where you drop a tire and lose a chain. That's ridiculous. So that needs to stop. There's a big old
Don't drop a
nasty
tire.
curve that, huh?
Don't drop a tire.
Yeah. Well, we're going to drop a tire over and over again, and that's okay. So, but you don't need to rip the sprocket off the go-kart every time you drop a tire. But there's a big old curb getting onto the straightaway that I think could use a little TLC to where you're not, destroying your go-kart. We don't need to rearrange the track or reinvent it, but it can very easily get ground on or patched up or added to and make it a little bit more pleasant for the chassis itself and chains. I don't like seeing people go out of a race because of a mechanical. If you leave your wheel loose, then we learn from that and move on. But if a piece of the property ruins your day, we need to fix that immediately. So that we're going to do that. And camping back at the track. Since I was a kid, that's all I did. And now with my kids, we went out and bought a camper. I was forced to. They said, okay, you can have camping at the track, but you have to be there. And I thought, oh, darn it, I'll go get a fifth wheel. And so we did. So we're going to live there on the race weekends and visit with our friends. It's going to be great. It's going to be a really good season. We've got our great staff coming back who are now really good friends of mine, but Phil and Bill and Lisa and Kelly and my wife and my kids and Tommy and all of Seth, Colby, Dave. Anyway, there's a billion, but they're great people and they make the whole thing go around and they're all coming back. So we're going to give it everything we got.
And then speaking of the camping, the one thing that I really took away from the IKF Grands that you hosted was your barbecue Friday night. It's a lot of other series, a lot of other tracks, they do the barbecue thing. But I don't recall in a long time watching the pits empty and stand in line for a barbecue. Usually it's like kind of waves. It's like, oh, there's 10 or 20 people, but it's not the whole pit converged on the barbecue line. And then they stayed there. Everyone stayed in that area and they all socialized while they were eating. I thought that was really cool. So
yeah, it's a product of the environment. And I'm not talking about me, just the environment itself is so positive. We have to remember what are we doing? We are not, whatever. We are racing go-karts with our loved ones, our kids, our wives, our husbands. You are at the track doing something that you chose to do on purpose. We need to make sure that it's fun. It's not something that anybody forced you to do, but it needs to be a good experience. And that should be pretty easy to provide. So that barbecue was awesome. My friend Pat Hush brought this 8-foot trailer barbecue, and him and my friend Rick and my dad and Mark and John and a bunch of people were in there just making some great steak, among other things. And I was walking around handing people something to drink while they were waiting in line, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I was just reading down my notes real quick. It's like, all right. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with, Donald?
I can't think of anything, but you're catching me off guard. But no, honestly, I guess I'll close with just saying thanks for the opportunity to be on here. And thanks to everybody out there who's letting me do exactly what I want to do with my life. And because of you, I can. So thanks for everything you've done in the past. Thanks for everything you're doing in the future. Thanks for coming to the track. Thanks for telling your friends about the track. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Perfect. So I'm going to drop you off the broadcast, but don't leave us yet.
Okay.
Ashley, do you have anything you want to wrap up with? Did you hit mute?
All right, NorCal. So we are booked up for January. We're looking into February. We're going to do an open call for junior drivers and NorCal mechanics. So if there is a NorCal mechanic that you would like on our show, tag them because I probably know them. And then we'll start reaching out. If you want to talk about karting, come on my show. Peace, NorCal. Good night.
And that's a wrap for our show tonight. Thank you to Donald Durbin and Prairie City Karting. His website, pckarting.com. You can find his calendar on his website. You can also find it on norcalcarters.com, where we have both his 2-stroke and his 4-stroke weekends listed. And stay tuned to NorCal Karters this month. We have a busy schedule planned. So we have... Let's give it a quick rundown, and then we'll wrap up the show here. So our January lineup, we just had Donald Durbin on, Prairie City Kart Track. NCK Road Racing will be on next week. In 2 weeks, we have Central California Kart Racing Association. And wrapping up January for our live stream podcast, we have Northern Nevada Kart Club. And as always, if you're listening live, you can chat away. You can ask us questions. If you want to be on the show or you have a guest you would like to see on the show, let us know. And as the show continues to grow, we'll keep providing the content. So thank you very much. And everyone have a great week.